Okay, so now we'll begin. Welcome to the webinar today around managing challenges in distribution with Stage X3. I'm Lauren Marshall. I'm Digital Marketing Manager, and I've got Chris Hurst on the call, and he's from pre-sales. So he'll be taking you through a demo. We're going to jump straight into a demo of X3 today to demonstrate how the solution can manage challenges in distribution. Just a few general notes on the webinar itself. All phone lines are muted. There will be a chance to ask questions at the end, so please ask these through the Q&A chat box on the right-hand side of your WebEx. It is possible to maximize the screen so you can see more. It's just the two diagonal arrows at the top right there. So now I will pass over to my colleague Chris Hurst, who is going to take you through a demo of Stage X3.
Good morning and welcome to the WebEx, as Lauren says. I'm just going to start the demonstration now by going to a login screen for Sage X3. Just checking the speed of the connection here. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you some of the basics about Sage X3 and how we cope with issues that many of our distribution companies have, and how Sage X3 helps you manage these. I'm going to take the role of two people today during this demonstration. First of all, a salesperson, and then later on we're going to look at a role from a buyer's point of view. So first of all, here I am ready to log into X3. For those that don't know, X3 is a web-based product, a browser-based product, which means you can choose, no matter how you deploy, whether it's a cloud or an on-premise solution, access is via a browser. Now that could be, in this case, a Chrome browser, it could be Firefox, could be IE, whichever you prefer. It also means that you can access X3 to any device you wish. So, for example, if you wish to access through a tablet or through a mobile phone, that's possible through the Sage X3 login. So as I log in, very simply, I'm met with my landing page. In this case, for being a salesperson, I can go and look at sales information straight away. But being a salesperson, I'm probably on the phone to a customer. So what I do here, if I go and look at my shortcuts along the top here, my favorite bars, I've got a quick access button straight to my customer records, and this brings up a list, in this case, of all my customers. Now, the screen here that you see in front of you is the customer screen. It's very typical of screens within X3. So just for people who've never seen it before, quick sort of guidelines to this. Down this left-hand side here, I have a list of all my customers. I've got them, in this case, just showing all my customers, and I've decided in my permissions and my logins to see the customer, the name, the postcode, city, etc. And any of these fields on this left list I can choose to search through. So for example, if I just want to look for Williams, in this case, I can just type in Will, and it brings up anything that matches that search here in the customer name, and then select the customer I wish. Now this means that the center page here refreshes, and in here I've got details about the customer I'm dealing with. So here I can see things due to my authority of identity, maybe the different addresses, maybe the contacts of the people. So while I'm talking to this customer, I can see information. Down this right-hand side are things to do or actions to take from this record. So I'm on a customer, so I see customer-related actions. So maybe I want to speak to this customer and see, when I'm speaking to him, how we've been in contact with him. So by hitting the history button, I can see all the actions, whether it's orders he's placed, whether it's incoming calls he's made that have been recorded in CRM, or outgoing calls we've made. I can have a very quick view and drill into the detail. More importantly, also, I can see actions yet to perform. So up and coming meetings. So I can see here for a glance that I know that we're going to see him next week, and we've got a call the week after to speak to him about some other issues he has with his account. Likewise down here, as well as that, lots of things you can basically do. So if you want to look for all the orders or all the quotes outstanding for this customer, maybe reproduce a copy invoice for him, all information like that can all be done from the side here. So maybe you want to get a copy invoice, send it off to him, etc. But it's not just inquiries. From here down the bottom you see I can also do actions, which means I can create maybe a sales order, create one of those calls of appointments directly from this while still in conversation. So as I'm talking to Williams here, they say that they want to replace an order that they placed back in August, just a basic standard copy of that order. So by hitting the sales order function at the top, I can see a filtered list of all the orders that Williams has placed. And if I just look for the date that he gives me back in August, I can select that order, and that refreshes this main screen. Now what I'm going to do here, just so I can have a bit more real estate, is just get rid of that left list. So now I've got more actions on the screen. So I can actually see a full view of that sales order. So they simply say, yes, these 2 items I want to reorder again, same quantity, something very simple. All I have to do this in X3 is get rid of the order number in this case and recreate the order by just tabbing off the field and creating. X3 automatically asks me whether I want to recalculate the prices. Well, seeing it was back in August, yes I do. And then I will just confirm that duplication. So straight away there, I've replaced this order. I can now put in the delivery date that he requires. So he tells me he wishes to have this in October, and the system then says, do I want to change all the lines to that date? Now, one of the key features about that in X3 is that you can have different lines dispatched on different days through different sources, and we'll come on to that a little more as we go through this. So I've created that order, but immediately I can see here that I've got an issue with the second line. So the second line has a shortage. Now I've chosen from this customer to allocate stock straight away. X3 has very comprehensive and interchangeable ways to allocate stock to customers depending maybe on who they are, what the product is, what site we're at. And you may do it on a batch job during the day, or you may do it immediately like this. Now I've got this set to be just a simple allocate immediately based on the importance of the customer, but it could be that you've got lot controlled, serial controlled items that you may want to do at a detail level here, or you may want to leave that till a picking stage. But either way, I know here that I've got an issue with this line. So I can say straight away, just want to investigate how I can actually complete this order with this customer. So by using the actions key against that line, I can maybe go and see whether I've got stock at another site. So by quickly drilling in there, I can see I have 2 sites in this company set up. So either in a graphical or a textual format, I can see that, yes, I've got some stock over at my other Newcastle branch, but maybe I don't want to get it for this order. Maybe it's too expensive, maybe it's the time limit on that. But Sage X3 will allow me to either dispatch that directly from that site or bring that site goods into this site to redispatch again from where I am. So whichever way I want to do it, whether I want to back it off to another site or bring it in, I can do that. Likewise, I'm just showing sites here. There may be other companies there. The multi-company facets of X3 allow me to share stock as well as customers across many ways. But what I do see is that I've got some on order. So my site that I'm in here, I've got 22 due in to come in. And again, by just drilling that little bit further, I can see what I have available to promise for that item. And I can see immediately here in the way I've displayed in week buckets that I've got 10 coming in next week and 12 the week after. Now again, I can drill further back to the detail of those. But in this case, I'm satisfied that I've got those coming in. So whether it's in a weekly buckets, monthly buckets, or even daily buckets, depending on your speed of order, I can look at it in either this textual format or by hitting the graph button, I can see where I am with stock in the future and make a decision on where I am. Now, if I had the authority here as a sales user, I could automatically assign one of those forthcoming orders in. But me and this company don't let salespeople do that. I leave that to the buyer to do. So we're going to come back to this order later, but for now I can finish that order and I know that that customer has been satisfied and that the goods are coming in. And the reason I know is because in the background, what Sage X3 has done is automatically send an email to that person. So through the notification methodology here, the buyer or the stock controller in charge of this has had an order. Now this is just quite a simple one here, that's saying an order's not been fully allocated, pointing me back to the order, who it's for, and even giving me a link back into X3. Now this is done by email. It could be an internal notification depending on the user, But what I've got there is a system without me doing anything, but the rules I've set in the background telling me what needs to be done and giving me an automation of something that I deem as important. So we're going to leave that salesperson there having that order the way they are, and now we're going to jump into the role of a buyer. So if I now come back to my main landing page, if I was logged in as a buyer, what I see here when I log in is I see that I've got what's known as a visual process within X3. Now these are used extensively in X3 for many reasons, to either to show people workflow, as in this case, or maybe used as a menu, because each of these buttons on here are actually links to functions within the system. So through this visual process, we can be able to see and guide people through the standard set of business processes and let them see what's involved in their process, as well as give them easy access. So this company I work on, the buyer has, as in any company, a difficult job. They've got to get the right stock to the right place at the right time, while still ordering as little as possible, as late as possible. And as we've got down here, also to quality as well, which is very important. So we use several methods in this company I'm based in to actually access that stock. So we have here all these different sources that I'm using. So it could be an MRP source for certain products. It could be based on a reorder point, so maybe a basic min-max level, or maybe a number of weeks coverage that I want to keep. I allow stock requisitions in this business. So orders that may be for stock or for other ancillary items that my staff can request those to be authorised and placed into orders. I have an option of reservations, so orders for large customers where we allow a commitment to be made that they're going to commit to orders, and then the system can use them later on to actually, as the orders come in properly, and also a back-to-back order system in there. So me as a buyer has quite a lot of things going on that I need to keep a monitor of. But that's where Sage X3 steps in and helps you with that. So I have here a buying planning where all this is going into. Now, depending how you're doing your buying, whether it's supplier-based, product-based, site-based, X3 has different views of this that give you a total overall view, a holistic view of that item. So if I just drill into my buyer planning here, I come in at a point in time or in the morning, and I want to look at what's due. So if I just simply create a new inquiry, go and make my selections of how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to look over all my sites for today, and in this case I'm going to include back-to-backs within that in this selection, because some people like to run those separately. And if I just press the search button, I get a list of all the items that I need to order or the system is recommending. Now, if I just sort these, they come back to show you the different ideas. So here I've got some through purchasing, so some through purchase requisitions, that is. Some through sales, so they're back-to-backs. Others through standard suggested reordering, and then others through the MRP. So the way I'm configuring this operation, it's done by product base of a site how these are ordered, but this gives me a complete view of what needs to be done. But now I can filter and hone in on those. So if I look at this list down here, you'll see that I've got quite a lot for a particular supplier. So if I just come up to the top and then filter by that supplier, so I know the number because it's on the screen, but I could also search there as well. So I go and look for those. I see all my items for that supplier, no matter what source they come from, all shown in one view. So if I was comfortable and happy with those figures, all I'd need to do is hit the Include All button here, complete this quantity selected column automatically, and off I go. Or I could just exclude all and come back to the beginning. And really it's just like a work list. So if I select an individual item, maybe 2 or 3 of these, you'll see that I want to order those. Maybe I want to change this and only order 3,000 in this case. So I can make and choose and do what I wish line by line. Or I may want to filter by date required or products, whichever way around I'm looking at this, X3 allows me to do this in the requirements to consider options. And from there then, when I'm happy, all I need to do is press this OK button here, which gives me a summary of the order that I've got. I can add, I can change here as well, so if there's other items I want to add on that manually aren't coming up that I know about, I can do this, or change where it's going to print or something like that, I can do that. And then very simply just create the order, the routine runs and generates that order for me in the system. Now the way I'm sat, due to the value of that order, that's going to be sat there now and going into what we term our workflow, which allows me to then have that order authorised maybe in a chain of 1, 2, 3 people, or maybe multiple signatures. This workflow can be applied to several ways throughout X3 for different scenarios. It doesn't have to be purchasing, could be quotes, could be purchase requisitions, could be anything you wish. Now, what I want to come back to is that order we placed earlier on. So if you remember those, that salesman had placed an order and I got an email about it. So as you saw, I could go directly to the order, or I can come into what we know as stock assignments. So me as a buyer now wants to look at that. I know I've got an issue with that product. So if I just go and search for that product, in this case I don't even have to know the code, I'm just searching for the name, select the product in question, and that brings me back a list of that customer order there highlighted in red that I know I've got an issue with, and the 2 orders that we saw before that are due in. So what this assignment plan allows me to do, in this case at a product level, is choose that order and actually do a firm link, almost like a pure back-to-back off an existing order, to the an incoming supplier order. So as we know, we want this order to be assigned. So all I need to do is click the order in question, and then through the little hyperlinks choose which order I want it to be. So as you see, it's displayed in date order. So I decide, well, actually, I've got another order coming in on the 28th of September, so I can just simply link it to there. It goes green. I get a link down the bottom, and now I know that that customer has now got that tied up and will definitely get those when it comes in. There's a firm allocation between them. Now, I've no need to do ordering this way. I can just do the assignment when the order comes in and based on several rules, but in this case, due to the importance of the customer, I've decided to do that. So there we have both a happy salesman and a happy buyer, all sorted out with the works. Now, one other thing I just wanted to finish on, that order that we said we'd placed, that's that purchase order. Now, I said that I had to have that authorised. Well, my FD needs to authorise that order, and he's out of the office. He's not in, away from his desk, out visiting maybe visiting a customer, visiting a supplier. So if I just log in as him, but in this case away from the office, he can access. He can also access Sage X3 via his phone. So this is just a representation showing both the screens in X3 and also those on his phone. So he's out. He's had an email in the same way we had before, but this is via an application that we have from a mobile application. So I can come into here, into a list of choice I've got, and in this case, by simply through the workflow, choose the order. There's that order we placed a little while ago. I can go and look at the detail of it and accept it very simply while I'm out and about. And that's now linked back to X3, and that order's been authorised and now maybe printed, faxed, DDI'd off to the supplier. So as you can see, even though I'm out and about and not tied to my desk, what X3 allows me to do is have a truly mobile experience. So whether I'm just out in the warehouse or outside the 4 walls of the company, I can then keep that interaction, and I'm not messages from X3 and actioning those as I go. So there we go, that's our little tour for this morning, the 20-minute tour that we had. Just wanted to show you some of the actions we have. So now I'm going to hand back to Lauren. If anyone has got any questions, please use the Q&A box as she said before.
Okay, thank you, Chris. As I said before, please send your questions through the Q&A chat box there, and we'll answer them now.
In here, can X3 cope with internal transfer pricing? Yes, it can, basically. As I briefly mentioned, you may not have caught it, X3 does allow multiple company, multiple site setups. So if you're using another site or another company of your own as a supplier in such case, those prices can be different. So no need to be the same cost or the same selling price internally. We can cope with that very simply in the standard product. Have we got any more? Yeah, we've got one more coming in here. Just 1 second while I finish. What if my supplier is in a different country? Yeah, I mean, one of the key benefits of X3 is that it's truly a multi-company, multi-legislation, multi-language supported system. So if you're multi-currency issues you've got, or different legislations, or simply want a purchase order or any document for that matter displayed in a different language, or even on the screens for users, then that's again standard features within X3.
Okay, so it looks like those are all of our questions today. Thank you for attending this webinar. I'll be sending round the recording today, so you'll have that later today. Thank you for joining.